my accountant, my friends that kind of know 2 or 3, like people you definitely know, like it's stupid how much no money I make on this place. I'll make more speaking in Orlando next week. I mean, like, you can't imagine.
Gary Vaynerchuk, arguably the most well-known entrepreneur on YouTube. He is a high-energy, hustle-oriented businessman that owns a media company named VaynerMedia. Now, VaynerMedia has grown drastically over the past several years, where it made an estimated revenue of $100 million in 2016, $170 million in 2017, and $200 million in 2018. Despite these giant revenues, VaynerMedia actually isn't profitable. Let me explain. VaynerMedia was founded in 2009 by Gary along with his brother AJ. It was created to be one of the first major media agencies that solely focused on social media as its main marketing tool. I know today it sounds like a great idea, but back then it was quite a risky strategy. I mean, at the time, Facebook was just passing 100 million users, Instagram hadn't been invented yet, and the person with the most subscribers on YouTube was Fred, who had 800,000 subscribers. So social media was still a baby at the time when Gary and AJ decided to place a huge bet on the growth of these platforms, and boy, did it work out. Now, because Gary already had some sort of mainstream celebrity from Wine Library and his appearances on Conan O'Brien, VaynerMedia already had some credibility in the marketing world. And over the next 10 years, VaynerMedia grew from just 2 employees to over 700 employees while securing deals with several Fortune 500 companies like GE and Pepsi. VaynerMedia had also secured an investment from RSE Ventures, which is an investment firm created by Miami Dolphins owner Stephen Ross and guest Shark Tank investor Matt Higgins. Despite all of the success, deals, revenue, and investments, VaynerMedia never became profitable. And one of the reasons why this is the same reason that a lot of growing companies don't make any money. It's because all of the potential profits are reinvested back into the company. Another reason why a lot of growing companies don't make any profits is because they try to take on investments or have a lot of money in the bank from other side ventures that allows them to grow the company and hopefully grow the company to a point where it does become profitable in the future. Now, most companies that generate over $200 million in revenue that are branding oriented like VaynerMedia typically make a profit, but end up pumping any profits that are made back into advertising, hiring more employees, or adding to the company's infrastructure. They also may take on multi-million-dollar investments, which allows the company to not make a profit for a few years while the company grows. And these two things are what Gary has done. But then that brings up another question. How does Gary pay himself? So some people don't like Gary because they say he secretly tries to sell books and make millions of dollars off of those books. And part of that is true, but depending on the book and the publisher, you'll only make between like 50 cents and $5 for the average book sale. And after taking into account publisher fees, retail fees, platform fees, and so on, a lot of books out there don't really make a lot of profit. So if Gary Vee were to sell 1 million copies of his book, which is a lot, he might only take home about $1 million. Yes, I know that's a lot of money, but in reality, when you're running a $200 million company and want to buy the New York Jets, that $1 million will only make a small dent in your goal. Now, what does make a little bit more of a dent, though, is his speaking career. From what I was able to find, Gary makes about $100,000 per speaking gig, meaning that Gary is probably making in the neighborhood of $5 to $15 million a year just from his speaking gigs. And that number will only continue to increase as Gary's popularity grows. Gary has accomplished a lot. Like a lot. He has a $200 million business that he might be able to sell for a few $100 million to a buyer right now. He's one of the top-selling business book authors in the world, and he has one of the most lucrative speaking careers on the planet, making around 7 or 8 figures a year. This is a life that most entrepreneurs can only dream of. Here's the catch, though. He wants to buy the New York Jets. The New York Jets are currently valued at $3.2 billion. And if that didn't seem daunting enough, the New York Jets valuation has been growing by about 10% per year. That's almost double the current revenue of VaynerMedia. So on the surface, it would seem like Gary Vee buying the Jets would be a long shot. But that might not be the case for 2 reasons. One of which is that a business for a big company like VaynerMedia, or business for a big entrepreneur like Gary Vee, can double or even triple in 1 year. Meanwhile, investments like an NFL team rarely do this. All this means is that VaynerMedia could easily double or triple in size from a few big deals or investments, but the only spike in valuation that an NFL team can get is usually from a new TV deal. Now, the second reason why Gary has a decent shot at buying the Jets is that the rules of owning an NFL team have drastically changed since about a decade ago. In 2008, it was required that all owners own at least 51% of the team they wish to buy. But now that rule has changed to the point where you only need to own 30% of the team you want to buy. This means that Gary actually might only need $1 billion to buy controlling interest in the Jets versus their full $3.2 billion valuation. Now, I know he would likely need to pay a premium to buy the team, and the controlling owners might not even want to sell the team for any amount of money, so those should be taken into account as well. But let's just say that they wanted to sell the team. Here's the math on what needs to happen for Gary Vee to finally be able to afford making a legitimate offer for the New York Jets. The Jets' minimum controlling share value is $1 billion today and is growing in value by about 10% per year. Now, Gary Vee's share in VaynerMedia is probably valued at around $200 million today. Based on earlier revenue estimations of VaynerMedia that I could find, Gary's company is growing at somewhere between 20 and 30% per year. Let's just call it 25%. Using these numbers, I was able to estimate that Gary could make a legitimate case for buying controlling interest in the Jets in 13 years for $3.4 billion. Now, there are some obvious holes in this math, and tons of other variables that I've already mentioned earlier in this video. And another thing is that maintaining a 25% growth rate over 13 years for a large company like VaynerMedia can be extremely tough. He would also need to sell the company for full value, and there would be obvious tax implications as well. But with all that Gary has accomplished in his life, who knows? Maybe he could make an offer within a decade. Or maybe he might never be able to make an offer. Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster of a journey where anything can happen. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see my upcoming business documentaries. Also, if you're interested in supporting this channel or following my current entrepreneurship venture, please check out my gaming channel, Attika Games. The link is in the description below. That's where I'm currently in the midst of programming and launching my first video game on PC, Mac, Linux, PlayStation, and Xbox. So I hope to see you guys there.